Hi there, and welcome back to the channel. If you've ever found yourself curious about what truly sets an older man apart, not just in appearance but in presence, composure, and a subtle yet undeniable allure, then you're exactly where you need to be. As men grow older, something intriguing begins to unfold. The qualities that make someone appealing evolve. It stops being about grand displays or chasing passing fads. Instead, attraction becomes rooted in something far more meaningful. A self-assuredness forged through experience, a quiet inner peace, and the kind of presence that naturally commands attention. In today's video, we're uncovering 7 timeless principles that define what it means to be a genuinely attractive older man. But this isn't about ego or surface-level advice. It's about embracing the depth, wisdom, and emotional richness that come with age, and learning to express that in a way that draws people in effortlessly. These aren't just traits that catch the eye, they resonate on a deeper level and leave a lasting mark. Whether you're in your 40s, 50s, or further along in life, what we're sharing today is meant to help you refine your demeanor, not by changing who you are, but by tapping into the most compelling, authentic version of yourself. Stick around until the end, because the final insight might just change the way you view yourself and the way others respond to you. Let's dive in. Number 1. Confidence is the ultimate magnet. Real confidence doesn't announce itself. It simply arrives with quiet assurance. For a man past 40, confidence is no longer about proving anything to the world. It's about having already walked through enough fire to know your own value. You've taken hits, recovered, and grown stronger, not by noise, but by becoming deeply rooted in who you are. And that grounded presence, it speaks louder than any words. While younger men often feel the need to fill space, talking quickly, trying to charm or impress, the older man understands the power of restraint. He lets silence linger. He allows conversations to breathe. He doesn't force his way into moments. He lets moments find him. That stillness, that sense of ease, it's something women recognize and trust, often without even realizing why. One of my clients, a 54-year-old architect, once felt invisible at social gatherings. That shifted dramatically when he stopped trying to impress and instead started showing up with quiet composure. Head held steady, voice controlled, eyes calm and intentional. At a dinner party, he didn't dominate the conversation, but when he spoke, the room paid attention. Later, a woman told him, "You made the whole space feel slower and safer. I felt that before you even said anything." That's the essence of genuine confidence. It doesn't seek to be seen, it simply holds its ground. True presence doesn't come from volume or flair. It comes from stillness, from the way a man carries himself without needing validation. A composed tone, steady eye contact, and relaxed body language speak volumes about his emotional depth. They communicate not only maturity, but emotional security, something that resonates far beyond words. It's in the way he sits upright without rigidity, walks into a room without scanning for approval, and speaks at his own pace, not rushed by pressure to impress. These seemingly small cues create a powerful presence. In a world overloaded with noise and performance, the man who doesn't need to be the center of attention becomes the most quietly captivating person there. She may forget your exact words, but she won't forget how calm you made her feel, how steady your presence was, and how rare that energy has become. That's the quiet strength of a man who knows his value. He doesn't have to act the part, he simply shows up as himself. And that, above all, is what lingers in her mind. Number 2, refined, effortless style. There comes a point in every man's life when he stops asking, "What's popular?" and begins asking, "What truly represents me?" That shift marks the evolution from chasing trends to embracing authenticity. And for women, especially those who appreciate older men, That subtle transition speaks volumes. Style isn't about flashy colors or mimicking what's on the runway. Nothing disrupts a man's maturity faster than trying to dress like someone half his age. Women quickly notice when a man's wardrobe is working too hard to impress, rather than simply reflecting the man he's become. There's something deeply grounding about a man who knows his personal style and isn't pulled by every passing trend. It signals that he's lived long enough to develop discernment and that he wears his choices with quiet confidence. That kind of self-assured style doesn't just catch her eye, it earns her respect. When a woman watches a man enter a room wearing a sharply tailored navy blazer, a crisp white shirt, dark jeans, and polished leather shoes, her reaction goes beyond the outfit. She sees a man who appreciates structure, values neatness, and expresses strength through subtlety. His appearance speaks volumes without saying a word. It communicates experience, clarity, and a firm sense of identity. It says, "I've lived enough life to understand who I am and what I stand for." Refined style isn't just about what you put on, it's equally about what you leave out. No oversized graphic hoodies, no overly torn jeans trying to relive youth. Instead, it's about selecting timeless pieces that project respect for yourself and for those around you. That message becomes even more powerful when paired with intentional grooming, a clean haircut, a well-kept beard, and skin that shows care and attention. A man who maintains his physical appearance often reflects that same care in his emotional and mental life. And for women, that signals something deeper than just aesthetics. It points to inner stability and self-respect. This isn't about vanity, it's about self-mastery. And women pick up on that instinctively. When a man walks into a room dressed with quiet elegance, he doesn't have to speak loudly to be noticed. His look already communicates composure and presence. He's not trying to outshine others. He's simply showing up in full alignment with who he truly is. That's the power of refined style. It doesn't scream for attention, yet it naturally commands it. In reality, the most captivating older men are the ones who aren't chasing youth. They're embracing their age with style, substance, and certainty. They're not trying to look younger. They're aiming to be the best version of the age they are. And women can sense that difference. They're not seeking someone who imitates Gen Z trends. They're drawn to a man who embraces his years with dignity and understands that true attraction isn't about bold prints or loud statements. It's about quiet, consistent expression. You've heard the saying, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. But when your style is thoughtful and true to who you are, you don't need a second chance. She notices more than just the fabric or fit. She sees the calm in your movements, the grounded energy in how you carry yourself. That's what mature style conveys. Not flawlessness, but presence. Because at its core, attraction begins in the mind. And when your appearance reflects intention, taste, and self-discipline, you create a sense of trust without saying a word. You become someone she instinctively feels safe around, not someone she has to second guess. You don't need to stand out with flash. You just need to show up with truth. And through your style, the unspoken language of how you present yourself, that truth becomes unmistakably clear. Number 3, care for your body, but don't obsess over it. In the subtle exchange of attraction between men and women, physical appearance may be the first thing to catch the eye. But it's the energy behind that appearance that truly draws someone in. Women are naturally attuned to vitality, not just how a man looks, but how alive and present he seems. It's not about perfection. A sculpted body may impress at first glance, but it's the quiet indicators of health and confidence that leave a lasting impression. Taking care of your body isn't about pursuing a flawless image. It's about respecting the vessel that carries you through every season of life. Your posture, your pace, your ability to move with ease, all of these speak louder than you might think. They show that you're still engaged with life, still capable, still in control. And here's what matters most. Those physical signals reflect your inner world. A man who takes care of himself physically is often grounded emotionally and mentally. That kind of balance creates an unspoken sense of security. A well-cared-for body is often a mirror of a disciplined, intentional mind. Think about the contrast between a man who slouches, moving cautiously as if unsure of himself, and a man in his 50s who walks tall, shoulders back, chest open, with a steady, purposeful stride. The difference is striking. The latter not only appears more put together, but also radiates an inner resilience and control that sets him apart. That kind of presence speaks volumes, far more than surface-level appearance ever could. It sends a clear message. You're not just getting by, you're actively choosing strength, vitality, and a life lived with purpose. Too many men fall into the trap of obsessing over their physical image, often driven by unrealistic ideals promoted through social media and cultural expectations. Ironically, that obsession can erode true confidence rather than build it, and even if that insecurity is never voiced, women can feel it. What truly resonates isn't perfection, it's authenticity. It's the quiet, consistent expression of wellness that doesn't seek approval. It's the presence of someone who's engaged with life, not hiding behind a carefully crafted exterior. There's a huge difference between appearing alive and actually being alive. Women are drawn to men who are physically capable, not because they demand flawlessness, but because physical ability hints at deeper qualities: reliability, energy, and emotional steadiness. Whether it's effortlessly handling a task or matching her stride during a hike, those simple acts point to something much larger, that you're not fading, you're thriving. Because at the end of the day, women don't seek perfection. They seek vitality in your body, your spirit, and your ability to meet life with strength and presence. When a man begins to focus on presence rather than perfection, he frees himself from the pressure of unrealistic comparisons. You don't need the physique of a model or the conditioning of a pro athlete. What truly matters is that you look like a man who honors himself, who treats his body with enough respect to keep it strong, agile, and capable. That kind of self-respect reveals itself in countless subtle ways. It's in the calm steadiness of your gaze, the way you carry yourself upright, and the deliberate, grounded way you move through space. These non-verbal signals often speak louder than words, and women notice them immediately, even if they can't always explain why. Taking care of your body is about far more than appearance. It's a statement, a form of silent self-leadership, and from that foundation, deeper emotional and intellectual connections naturally have room to grow. When you invest in your physical well-being with purpose and balance, you're telling a story of ongoing evolution, a story of vitality that draws people in without effort. The message is straightforward, yet powerful. Don't chase perfection. Prioritize presence. Treat your body as the trusted companion it is on your journey through life. Walk tall, move with clarity, live in a way that shows you're awake to the world around you. That is the kind of quiet strength women recognize instantly. It's not about fitting into someone else's mold. It's about being wholly, unapologetically alive in your own skin. Number 4, a signature scent, your silent introduction. There's an often overlooked yet incredibly powerful element of attraction that works beneath the surface: your scent. Before you say a single word, before you even make eye contact, your fragrance can speak for you. Scent is hardwired into human memory and emotion. It creates connections in the brain that linger long after the moment has passed. That's why a well-chosen, consistent fragrance can become one of the most potent aspects of your personal presence. A signature scent isn't just about smelling pleasant. It's about establishing an emotional imprint, something subtle but unforgettable. A well-selected cologne worn with restraint communicates far more than hygiene or grooming. It suggests thoughtful intent and quiet self-assurance. When a woman catches the scent of a man who wears a distinct, consistent fragrance, her senses begin to associate that aroma with his energy and presence. In a way, it becomes his invisible signature, subtle but unforgettable. This isn't about making a bold olfactory statement or filling the room with fragrance. It's about leaving behind a trail of intrigue and refinement, a soft echo of who you are long after you've gone. Think of your scent as an emotional marker. A trace of sandalwood, cedarwood, or a hint of spice can spark warmth, curiosity, or even a sense of familiarity. The right fragrance becomes a part of your presence, a sensory shorthand for your personality. It tells her that you pay attention to the small things, that you're intentional, that you care, not just about how you look, but how you show up in the world. That awareness is rare, and it's compelling. Scent is deeply tied to memory. A familiar note can suddenly bring back an emotion, a moment, a feeling, sometimes years later. That's why what you wear matters. With just one breath, you can build emotional connection without saying anything at all. A signature scent doesn't compete for attention. It quietly invites curiosity, and that is often far more powerful than any grand gesture. Many men underestimate the influence of fragrance. They see it as an afterthought, not realizing it's one of the most personal and evocative elements of attraction. But the truth is, fragrance is a language, a form of expression that bypasses logic and speaks directly to emotion. When you find a scent that aligns with your natural chemistry and personal style, it becomes part of your identity. It lingers in the memory of those you meet, imprinting your presence in a way nothing else can. To master this subtle art, choose a fragrance that feels like you, not something that covers you up, but something that enhances what's already there. Steer clear of overpowering fragrances. Instead, choose scents that are refined, balanced aromas that project calm, elegance, and depth. When selected with care, your fragrance becomes much more than a pleasant detail. It becomes a silent representative of who you are. A trace of your presence, a feeling you leave behind. This sensory layer carries special weight in relationships, especially those between older men and younger women. Younger women often seek a balance, the grounded assurance of maturity, paired with a sense of intrigue. The right scent can subtly embody both. It becomes an olfactory symbol of a man who is both composed and captivating. Your fragrance is like an invisible handshake, an introduction that precedes words. It shows you're intentional, that you care about how you present yourself and how you make others feel in your presence. As one man put it, a woman may forget what you said, but not how you smelled. And there's truth in that. This is why mastering your personal scent isn't just about hygiene or appeal, it's about emotional impact. A signature fragrance weaves itself into memory, stirring emotions and creating connection long after a conversation ends. In the landscape of attraction, scent goes where words can't. It bypasses logic and speaks directly to the senses, evoking curiosity, trust, even desire, without needing to say a thing. When you embrace the power of a distinctive yet subtle cologne, you gain something few men fully understand, an edge that transcends appearance. Your scent becomes part of your identity, an unspoken invitation that quietly says, "This is who I am." And often, it leaves her wanting to know more. Number 5. A sharp mind and engaging conversation. By the time a man reaches his 40s and beyond, the fleeting power of youthful appearance begins to matter less. What truly endures and what becomes most magnetic is the sharpness of his mind and the substance of his conversations. For mature women, physical appeal alone rarely holds their attention. What captures them is a man who can engage deeply, speak with clarity, and ignite curiosity in unexpected ways. It's not about flaunting knowledge or dominating discussions. It's about exchanging stories, sharing perspectives, and offering thoughts that both entertain and enrich. Women are naturally drawn to men who think deeply and read widely. These men offer something rare, a sense of both safety and stimulation. Through their words, they open doors to new ideas and unseen layers of experience. Their humor isn't just clever, it's been shaped by time and trials. Their curiosity isn't performative, it's a way of life. This kind of mental and emotional presence speaks to maturity, self-awareness, and a life well examined. It doesn't demand attention, it earns it. Unlike superficial attraction, which fades quickly, this kind of connection builds slowly. It deepens over time as conversation reveals more of the man beneath the surface, his values, his vision, his way of seeing the world. And that's the real allure, a mind that's both steady and alive, inviting her not just to look, but to listen, think, and feel. It's through meaningful conversation that women often recognize a man's emotional maturity and availability. When a man can navigate both playful banter and deeper, thoughtful dialogue, it reveals that he's equipped for the emotional complexity that real relationships require. Picture a moment where a man shifts naturally from telling a light-hearted story about a youthful misadventure to reflecting on a recent book exploring human behavior. That ability to flow between humor and insight creates a richness in interaction that feels both grounded and rare. To a woman, this signals more than intelligence. It shows presence. It shows a man who's engaged in the moment, who values not just the words exchanged, but the emotional connection those words can build. This intellectual rapport also encourages emotional openness. A woman feels safer expressing herself when she senses a man genuinely respects her thoughts and welcomes her perspective. When he offers a different take or asks a thoughtful question, it's not to challenge her, it's to understand her more fully. That kind of engagement builds trust, and trust opens the door to intimacy. The appeal of a sharp, curious mind doesn't fade with age. In fact, it becomes more powerful. It's one of the clearest markers of lasting charisma. A man who can hold meaningful conversations shows confidence without ego, strength without force, and a passion for life that isn't needy, but deeply rooted. He doesn't fight for attention, he invites it, effortlessly. In truth, the quality of your conversations reflects the depth of your inner world. The more you feed your mind, through books, experiences, curiosity, the more naturally magnetic you become. This type of energy isn't showy, it's quiet, steady, and deeply attractive. And women sense it, not with their eyes, but with their intuition. It pulls them in on a level that physical attraction alone simply can't reach. So, if you truly want to deepen your appeal, keep this in mind. It's not just about how you look, it's about what you offer intellectually and emotionally. A sharp mind, paired with genuine conversation, creates a connection that lasts. Because when minds and hearts meet, attraction becomes something far more meaningful than surface-level charm. Number 6. Age with grace, not fear. In a culture fixated on youth, many men fall into the trap of clinging to a version of themselves that no longer fits. Through cosmetic procedures, awkwardly youthful clothing, or overly dyed hair that masks more than just grey strands. These efforts to outrun aging often reveal what they're trying hardest to hide: insecurity and a disconnection from self. Women sense this, not just in how a man looks, but in how he carries himself. There's a subtle discomfort beneath the surface, a fragility disguised as style. Rather than radiating confidence, it creates unease. The truth is, what women find most compelling isn't a man's ability to look eternally young, but his ability to embrace his age with dignity and strength. A man who owns his years without apology, who takes care of his health but doesn't pretend to be 25, sends a clear, powerful message. He's comfortable in his skin, he's secure in who he is. And that kind of presence is rare, Silver hair, soft creases from laughter, and a calm, steady gaze don't say old, they say seasoned. They tell the story of someone who's lived, learned, and grown. Someone who has weathered storms, found meaning, and come out the other side with clarity. That's far more attractive than any attempt to turn back the clock. These men don't waste time resisting change or hiding behind filters. Instead, they turn the marks of aging into quiet strengths. Their confidence comes not from appearance, but from experience, from the wisdom, resilience, and self-awareness they've earned, and women feel it. Instinctively, they recognize the peace in a man who's no longer chasing an identity, but fully living his truth. A man like that doesn't just show up. He arrives, and in doing so, he becomes unforgettable. It's important to understand that embracing aging doesn't mean letting go of self-care. In fact, the two go hand in hand. Looking after your appearance, staying fit, grooming with intention. These acts aren't signs of vanity or denial. When done with self-respect, not fear, they reflect something powerful: self-love. This balance between acceptance and care creates a presence that is both grounded and inviting. A man who maintains his well-being without trying to mask his age sends a clear, unmistakable signal. He's confident in who he is, and in that authenticity lies his strength. A man who welcomes his age gracefully becomes a quiet force. He offers steadiness in a world full of noise and emotional safety in a world full of uncertainty. His composed presence and lived experience don't just attract, they comfort, they build trust. There's a magnetic quality to this kind of man. He doesn't need to pretend. He doesn't need validation. His calm energy and emotional depth offer something rare, a place where a woman can fully be herself, free of performance or pretense, because he has made peace with who he is, and women recognize that. They describe it in simple but powerful ways. There's something solid about him, they say, something you just don't find in younger men. That something is hard to define, but impossible to ignore. It's not about age. It's about presence, peace, and the quiet confidence that only time can teach. Or, as one woman put it, he doesn't try to be anyone else. He's at ease with himself, and that makes me feel safe. Comments like this reveal a deeper truth. Beyond appearance, what truly draws a woman in is a man's ability to offer emotional grounding, authenticity, and a sense of security. These qualities emerge naturally when a man stops resisting age and begins embracing it as a source of strength. Aging isn't a decline, it's an elevation. When a man learns to see his changing appearance not as something to fix or fight, but as a reflection of a life well lived, he begins to radiate something youth cannot replicate: presence. That presence, rooted in self-respect, emotional wisdom, and lived experience, is profoundly magnetic. The most captivating older men are not trying to compete with the younger version of themselves. They're telling a richer, more honest story, through silver hair, through the lines that trace laughter and loss, through calm that can only come from having seen life's full spectrum. That story doesn't need embellishment. It needs only to be lived and shown unapologetically. So instead of waging war against time, choose to wear your years with pride and care. Let your face reflect the journey, not erase it. Let your presence say, "I've loved, I've failed, I've learned, and I've grown." Because that's the kind of man women remember, and that's the kind of man they long to stand beside. Number 7. Mastering the art of mystery and depth. In the subtle dance of attraction, mystery is one of the most compelling, yet often misunderstood, qualities a man can embody. But mystery doesn't mean playing games or withholding truth. It's not about being distant or emotionally unavailable. Rather, it's about carrying a quiet depth, an emotional richness that invites curiosity instead of demanding attention. A man who truly understands the power of mystery doesn't feel the need to disclose every part of himself. He's comfortable leaving space for intrigue, for questions, for the natural rhythm of discovery. Rather than rushing to fill silence or explain every thought, he invites a woman into his world gradually, allowing curiosity to build over time. Women are instinctively drawn to men who live full, independent lives, men whose identity isn't limited to the present moment or the person in front of them. When a man holds parts of himself back, not out of detachment but from self-possession, he creates a compelling presence that speaks louder than words ever could. This isn't about emotional distance or being hard to reach. It's about having a strong, centered identity that doesn't require constant validation. A single glance, a quiet smile, a well-timed pause. These gestures often say more than any long-winded explanation. They hint at depth. They suggest a man who is confident, grounded, and emotionally mature. At the heart of this energy is a powerful unspoken message. I don't need you, but I choose you. That one idea changes everything. It reframes attraction from pursuit to presence. It tells her he is complete on his own, that his interest isn't rooted in lack, but in intention. And for many women, that's profoundly attractive because it suggests something rare: stability, wholeness, a life that's already rich and balanced, where attention and affection aren't needs to be fulfilled, but choices freely given. This kind of mystery isn't about hiding, it's about depth. It draws people in not with noise, but with stillness, not with flash, but with substance. This kind of emotional restraint also serves a deeper, very practical role in attraction. When a man reveals too much too soon, it can create imbalance, introducing a sense of emotional urgency or dependency that disrupts the natural rhythm of connection. By holding back certain parts of his story, a man allows space for curiosity to grow. He invites a shared discovery, one where both people reveal themselves gradually, layer by layer. This slow unfolding is far more captivating than rushing into vulnerability without context. Mystery thrives in pace, not secrecy. Picture the man who listens intently, who lets silence breathe rather than rushing to fill it. He chooses his words deliberately, not to impress, but to connect. That restraint, his comfort in stillness, signals confidence and depth. Women don't just respond to what he says, they're drawn to how he holds himself, the calm energy behind his presence. His silence says, "There's more here, and it will unfold in time." In deeper relationships, this presence becomes emotional intelligence in action. A man who shares himself selectively, who holds his truth with quiet strength, demonstrates that he's processed his past, learned from pain, and come out wiser. He's not afraid of vulnerability, but he understands its value. He knows that timing matters, that trust takes shape gradually, and that boundaries aren't barriers, they're signs of respect. And that's what makes this kind of mystery so magnetic. It's not about withholding, it's about honoring the connection. It says, "I know who I am, and I'll choose when and how to invite you into that." Ultimately, mastering mystery is about embracing your own depth. It's about living fully, and then sharing that fullness with intention, not out of need, but from abundance. This way of approaching relationships elevates attraction beyond fleeting interest. It becomes something lasting, something real. Women aren't simply curious about what you do or how you think. They want to feel who you are. They want to sense your depth, your steadiness, your independence. When you embody these traits, authenticity, emotional presence, quiet confidence, you don't just attract attention, you leave an impression, one that lingers, one that's hard to forget. Conclusion. Aging gracefully isn't about trying to turn back the clock. It's about honoring the man you've become through all the years, lessons, and experiences that shaped you. To be a genuinely attractive older man isn't about clinging to youth. It's about carrying yourself with dignity, calm, and self-respect. It's about showing up with presence, about wearing your life, your values, your stories, your resilience with pride. Because in the end, good looks may catch the eye, but presence keeps it. And when you live your truth, when you lead with substance rather than spectacle, you become not just desirable, but deeply magnetic. That's what defines a good-looking older man. Not image, but essence. Real attractiveness at this stage of life has little to do with chasing attention, and everything to do with embodying wisdom, presence, and quiet confidence. It's in the way you walk into a room without needing to own it. The way you dress with intention, speak with clarity, and hold your space without trying to prove anything. People, especially women, aren't drawn to men who perform for approval. They're drawn to men who are so rooted in who they are, they no longer need to seek validation. That grounded, steady energy is unmistakably magnetic. So whether it's your personal style, the way you engage in conversation, your subtle scent, or simply how you sit in stillness, remember this: what makes you truly attractive now is how well you know yourself. That level of self-possession is something no amount of youth can replicate. Now I'd love to hear from you. What qualities do you think make a man more attractive with age? Have any of these insights resonated with your own journey? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. And if this video added value to your life, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future content designed to help you step into the strongest, most confident version of yourself. Until next time, keep showing up as the man you were always meant to be.